I finally found the one I've been looking for.
What's he like?
He's got horsey teeth and these eyes that stick on top of his head. See? It's Jar Jar Binks.
Hey, YouTube.com. This is Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. Today, I want to talk about a really interesting aspect of the Star Wars prequel era. Now, I love the Star Wars prequels. I think they're really weird, pretty crazy, really clunky, very unique, one of a kind, and I love them warts and all. That said, I often find myself thinking about this Pepsi deal and how hilarious it is. First, we'll go to an LA Times article from May 16th, 1996, where PepsiCo chief executive Roger A. Enrico said that $2 billion would cover licensing arrangements, royalties, and exclusive rights to represent the films in its beverages, snacks, and restaurants. It will also pay for promotions on and in packages of Pepsi beverages and Frito-Lay snack products, restaurant decor in the KFC, Pizza Hut, and Taco Bell chains, and merchandise giveaways. The company typically spends $1.25 billion a year on advertising. So George Lucas got himself and Lucasfilm $2 billion for that Pepsi deal. And I remember at the time buying stupid bags of potato chips because it had Star Wars stuff on it, and ordering Pizza Hut because there were Star Wars pizza boxes. Just all kinds of ridiculous things I did because I was so excited for Star Wars to be back. But it cost them $2 billion to get that. And interestingly, in 2011, Phil Tippett, the legendary dude who did so many great effects on the original trilogy and the Rancor monster stuff, he had a really candid interview with Movies.com. He says something really interesting about the Pepsi deal. This is Phil Tippett, quote, "Whoever it was, Pepsi Cola or whatever, paid him $3 billion to do the next 3 movies as long as he worked and directed it." So for what it's worth, it was $2 billion and some change. But he says $3 billion, but he says that Lucas must work and direct those movies. And I do remember something that I can't find, that I can't place, about when George Lucas announced he would be directing Attack of the Clones. People made it seem like it was a big deal, but at that point, we already knew that he would be directing it because of that deal. So there were things about it that go beyond Phil Tippett, but at this moment, Phil Tippett in 2011 is the only direct quote I have on it. But I just find it hilarious because in essence, if there was anything that was not mainstream about Star Wars in the prequel era, it was George Lucas and his choices. It was George Lucas not really wanting to make a Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movie or wanting to make a Matrix-style Star Wars movie. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to do his own thing. So the idea that Pepsi had the stipulation of, we're going to give you $2 billion, and that's going to essentially fund Lucasfilm and the Star Wars prequels, that's why he directed them. It was set in stone at that moment, if that is accurate. And that's just an insane, piece of trivia and an insane fact. We know at one time, George Lucas was thinking of Frank Darabont for directing one of the Star Wars prequels. And in November of 2015, Ron Howard was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, and I'm quoting EW on this. They said, he did, Howard said, in response to whether Lucas approached him about the film. He didn't necessarily want to direct them, and he told me that he talked to Robert Zemeckis, he talked to me, he talked to Steven Spielberg. If the piece of Tippett information is accurate, that would mean around 94 to 96 probably, Lucas was approaching these big directors about working on the film with him, and they all bowed out and decided that they didn't want to touch it. It was too much. And then in 96, you have that deal with Pepsi, and Lucas agrees that he's going to direct and produce produce them all and write them all. And we have the Star Wars prequels that are pure, unadulterated George Lucas. I'm sure everybody has a different reaction to that. And I really think at this point, you either like them or you don't. And there's so many Star Wars movies, I don't think that the pressure about that is as intense as it used to be. And I think that's really good because I do think that they're fun films. And I don't think that any film could have ever been the best movie ever made. But that poor person who thought it was a great idea that only George Lucas could make Pepsi money is hilarious. And I appreciate Phil Tippett's honesty and candor in that interview. What do you think? Do you buy it? Do you think Tippett was working off of first-hand information? Hopefully someday we could ask him. But until then, we have to rely on my encyclopedic knowledge of worthless Star Wars lore. But when somebody looks at you and says, Star Wars is just made to sell toys, laugh in their stupid face and say, no, it was meant to sell Pepsi, chicken, tacos, and pizza, idiot. Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Why did I say that like that?